I'm Yuval from AI21, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to use our newest model, Jamba-Instruct, with LlamaIndex infrastructure. And really, there's a lot of talk in the last year, I guess, of do you really need long context or do you need RAG? And for those of you who are not very familiar, long context just means to take the entire context that you have 100K, 200K tokens or something like that, and just feed it directly to a language model and get your answer. Or maybe it's better to do those things with RAG, where essentially you're just taking the document, chunk it or divide it into segments, and then via retrieval mechanism, only take the segments that you need in order to comprise the answer. And only that goes into the language model. And really, as the world progresses and the technology progresses with us, what we find out is that it's not long context versus RAG. It's actually long context plus RAG, because we have a lot more documents, a lot more data. All the queries that people get into language models are getting more and more complex. And what you really need is a language model can effectively handle long context. Okay? And this is what Jamba really excels with a very brand new architecture of joint attention and Mamba. Okay? This is a model that is really meant for handling long context effectively. And what you can see here, okay, this is a benchmark called Ruler released by NVIDIA, where they tested from the declared length of every model, meaning the physical amount of tokens the model can actually receive, what is the effective length, meaning how much from that is actually used in order to answer a query. Okay, and you can see that most of the models have decreases of like 50%, 75%, 96% in some cases, whereas Jamba can actually handle its entire declared length, meaning it's not just getting 256K tokens, can actually use them, all of them, in order to comprise the answer. Okay, and this is why RAG plus long context really work, because instead of just working on improving your search, like nitpicking all the stuff and really missing a lot of details, you could just use a language model that can effectively handle long context and elevate your entire RAG system's performance. Let's see an example in a code. First of all, we have some installations. I already ran them myself. Okay, so we're installing LlamaIndex and AI21 packages, and then some imports over here, setting up API keys. And now let's just make sure that we're using Jamba-Instruct as the language model. Now what we want to do is to collect some data. So we're just downloading 5 10K forms from Amazon, public data, nothing too weird. And now with 2 simple lines of code, okay, we're essentially creating our index. Now that we have our index defined, let's build a query engine. Okay, so just as a query engine, this really defines us all the system. And let's see that it works. Okay, so we're asking what was the company's revenue in 2021, and we're getting a number. Trust me, already verified it. It's true. Now let's ask a different question. What's the revenue in 2023? Okay, now I'm telling you that, okay, all the data that we have, and we can see it here as well. Okay, so it's reports from 2019 to 2023, meaning that the model should be able to answer because it also have access to this data. But you can see the company's revenue in 2023 is not explicitly mentioned in the provided context. Why does this happen? Okay, this is because in this engine, the default query engine, the number of segments that are retrieved and then go into the generation part is very small. Okay, and this is because, right, we want an efficient systems and so on, but really we're just missing a lot. So what can we do in this case? Well, we can either try and work and really improve our search, maybe add a re-ranker component or something like that, or we can just keep our search very simple and maybe even kind of naive. But if we have a language model after that that can handle long context effectively, we can just increase the amount of segments that we are returning. In this case, this is what we're doing. Extending query engine, now return 100 segments instead of just a few. And now with the same question, you can see that we're getting a better answer, right? Admittedly, it takes like a bit more, maybe this specific call, because now we have a lot more segments to go into it. But first of all, we're getting the correct answer. And also, we don't have to really optimize the search or add more components that will anyway give us latency. Okay, let's see another example. This is like a much harder question, whether a stock split in the last 5 years. Okay, this is something that the model has to actually test check all the reports for that. And you can see that the default query engine will say no stock split in the last 5 years. Where if I will ask the extended query engine, it has access to much more segments in the generation part. And in this case, it will tell us that probably yes. Okay, we'll just see, but there was a stock split in the last 5 years in 2022, which is a major event. This is something that as a financial analyst, you cannot really miss if you're trying to really analyze your data. So again, what we're doing here, we're seeing that a model that can handle long context effectively will elevate your entire RAG system without you having to do any work at all.